Yo, it's Trivelli. I'm back, and the NBA playoff landscape has been set in stone. The number 3 Milwaukee Bucks will be taking on the number 6 Miami Heat in the first round of the NBA playoffs for the Eastern Conference. I'll be giving you my personal prediction based on stats, matchups, analysis, and my deep overall knowledge for both teams. So please follow me on Instagram and Twitter so you can get my notifications for when I'm dropping videos. Then leave a smash on that like button, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe so we can get these videos out to as many people as possible. Now, I'm dropping videos Monday through Friday. I'm never slacking. Now let's jump into the action. Now, when we're breaking down this series, this was a rematch from last year's semifinals where the Heat dismantled the Bucks 4-1 using a really good strategy of shutting down the paint, not allowing Giannis to drive in and kick out, and perimeter shooting for the Bucks was hard to find in that series. I do believe this will be a much different series, more difficult for the Miami Heat for multiple reasons, and we'll get into that in a second, but I want to give a brief rundown of both teams this season. So you have the Miami Heat coming in at 40-32, second in the Southeast Division to the Atlanta Hawks, and you have the Milwaukee Bucks coming in 46-26, first in the Central Division, which I have to say, this is a putrid division with Detroit and Cleveland just being awful teams, Chicago being pretty mediocre, and Indiana just barely making the cut. And where you have the Southeast Division, you have 4 of those teams actually making the playoffs or play-in tournament at least, and Orlando was a G League team, but we can talk about that another time. Now, when we talk about the Heat versing the Bucks last season and completely destroying them in the playoffs, I just don't think that's going to be the case this season. When you have the Heat traveling to Milwaukee for the first 2 games, it's just going to change the total ambiance of this series. Instead of playing in a bubble where the Heat have that locked-in mindset, locked in to just almost be on a business trip, just there to win games, this is going to be a bit different where the crowd is going to play a big factor. Fans are back in the building. I just think that changes things a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. Another big factor in this series is trades. The Milwaukee Bucks were able to make a great trade in November to get Drew Holiday and Bobby Portis on the Milwaukee Bucks, and I think they have been major for their success this season and will be major against the Miami Heat. Those are 2 players you need versus the Miami Heat, as opposed to last season not having them. This is going to be a big difference. Now, trades for the Miami Heat that were a big catalyst is getting Trevor Ariza, Dwayne Dedmon, and of course Victor Oladipo not being available for these playoffs or next season possibly. We'll get into that in another video separately this week, but I wanted to say that not having Oladipo and getting rid of Kelly Olynyk will actually hurt the Heat, not help them, because Oladipo's not here to help you, and Kelly Olynyk would have been a great stretch 4 to basically go up against either Bobby Portis or Brook Lopez, whatever you need him to do, and he's able to stretch the floor, shoot the 3, and be just an ultra unselfish facilitator on the offensive end of the ball when he's doing those screen and goes and Kelly keepers. Victor Oladipo will not be available this season, really hurts the Miami Heat. Getting Trevor Ariza and Dwayne Dedmon for the Miami Heat is a big pickup, and the reason why is because both of these players have been big on the defensive side of the ball, and their player efficiency ratings have been through the roof, just being able to do what is asked of them without turning the ball over, and really high efficiency shooting the basketball for both of these players. I think that no one saw this coming. No one saw a 35-year-old Ariza playing really well for the Heat, and same thing with a basically unknown dead man walking in Dwayne Dedmon. I'm only going to make that pun once. Has been really big for this team, going down the stretch. They needed another big man. Dwayne Dedmon has really filled that role, pushing Precious Achiuwa further in the rotation so that he can kind of develop. He's very young, and he's got a lot of time to grow in the NBA. So now you know why I think that this is going to be a different series. I think that the trades for both teams makes this a different series, and I think the catalyst of not being in the bubble also makes this a different series. How will injuries affect this? Not really at all. Both teams are heading into the playoffs very, very healthy, and were even able to rest their players in the last game of the season. Like I said, Victor Oladipo for the Heat will not be available, but they already knew that, so that doesn't really change anything. And now we can go into the matchups and the stats, where each team can actually be successful against each other, and then I'll give you my final prediction. Now, let's just go over matchups really quickly. So starting for the Miami Heat, most likely will be Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Trevor Ariza, and Bam Adebayo. I see Goran Dragic and Tyler Hero coming off the bench to provide consistency in shooting throughout the second unit. And for the Milwaukee Bucks, you're going to have Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Brook Lopez. I do believe you'll get a hefty amount of Bobby Portis off the bench, as well as Pat Connaughton to back up these starters. Now, when we're talking about matchups, I really like the guards on both teams, both young and efficient guards. You have Kendrick Nunn and Duncan Robinson versus Drew Holiday and Dante DiVincenzo. I am super intrigued to see Holiday versus Nunn. I think this is just going to be a great matchup of point guards that are witty, both really savvy defenders and can both do different things on offense very well, like shoot the three, drive in, and, finish at the rim. I also see Dante DiVincenzo versus Duncan being an interesting matchup where Dante DiVincenzo is a way better, well-rounded player, but Duncan is that specialist. How will DiVincenzo be coming around those screens to guard Duncan is something to keep our eye on. You have a great matchup where Chris Middleton will be versus Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy shuts down Chris Middleton and really makes it hard for him to score in that mid-range shooting game and will pretty much take him away and render him useless. And I know that's a crazy predicament, but we've seen it before with Chris Middleton in the playoffs where he disappears against good defenders, and Jimmy Butler isn't a good defender, he's an incredible defender. And then you have Trevor Ariza to provide support at the power forward position with Bam Adebayo going against Giannis and Brook Lopez. This is critical here. I think if Bam Adebayo and Trevor Ariza are able to really settle in the paint and form kind of a wall, make the Milwaukee Bucks beat you by shooting the three, I do believe the Heat will have a really good chance of repeating some of that success from last season. I think it all comes down to how well Bobby Portis and Giannis Antetokounmpo shoot the three in this series. You heard it here. If Giannis and Portis are hitting the three efficiently, the Miami Heat are going to be dead in the water and they will not have a chance of winning this series, because once you have Giannis backing up defenders, hitting the three, and then getting whatever he wants in the paint, kicking it out to open Middleton, DiVincenzo, or Holiday. Now, if you're the Miami Heat, I think ball movement, getting Bam Adebayo to be super aggressive in the paint, offensive rebounds, and really locking up the three-point line on the other end of the floor is going to be the keys for their success. I think if they play unselfish basketball, if Jimmy Butler is able to be the closer in the fourth quarter like he always is, if Trevor Ariza is able to step up and play really big defense against Giannis with Bam Adebayo in the paint, I think the Miami Heat have a really good chance of winning this series. And then really quickly, we can look at the stats for both teams. Both of these teams are shooting the ball particularly well from the three-point line, both above 35%, where you have the Bucks shooting at 38.9% from three, and the Heat are shooting at 35.8%. I think both of these teams shoot the ball exceptionally well, and both of these teams have a .55 or better efficiency rating from shooting the ball. Pending any injuries, both of these teams are just matched up really well. I think this series is going 7 no matter what. I'm giving the Miami Heat a slight edge because their superstars are just super unselfish, where you have Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler just doing anything that Spoelstra needs them to do. Super unselfish team. I just see the Heat having a slight edge and that mental advantage from last year, saying, look, we beat this team 4-1 last year, and they do believe that they're as good or better with the emergence of Trevor Ariza and Dwayne Dedmon. So you could see the Miami Heat winning this series 4-3 or losing the series 4-3, but I see this series going 7, and that's because of the exceptional shooting of both teams. You have the Heat with specialists like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, and you have the Bucks with specialists like Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and all these players that shoot the ball well. I think that this is going to be an absolute offensive display. It's going to be a battle of the coaches when it comes to defending the schemes, whether they want to implement a zone for the Miami Heat or run man-to-man. It's just going to be fun to watch how this battle goes down, but I'm giving the Miami Heat a slight edge just because of Eric Spoelstra being the coach of the Miami Heat. He is just so good at getting the best out of his players. I do believe the Miami Heat will win this series in 7. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and have a great day. Peace.